Mr. Speaker, Congress is currently engaged in a very important debate on health care. It's complex, and Americans deserve an informed and transparent debate. Yet while this discussion continues, there's a country roughly 7,000 miles from here where nearly 35,000 American lives are on the line every day. And Congress has yet, given the changing circumstances there, to fully engage in a focused discussion with our military leaders on a comprehensive strategy for Afghanistan. Since I was elected in 2004, and like so many of our colleagues, I have attended the funerals for fallen Nebraska soldiers. I've stood next to widows whose young children were not of age to comprehend the magnitude of the family loss. And yet when the time came, I did make the difficult decision to support sending more troops to Iraq in what was called a surge. It was the right call. I have continually met with those who have served in Iraq and Afghanistan, and recently met with those who are preparing to redeploy. Their dedication to service and commitment to our country continues to inspire me and the families they leave behind. And the solemn responsibility for their lives continues to weigh very heavily upon us all. Mr. Speaker, Afghanistan is facing complex security and governance challenges, and the situation demands engagement by this legislative body now. Although the administration developed a strategy for Afghanistan in March of this year, there is still a lack of clarity, some seeming uncertainty, and certainly a hesitation to fully engage Congress in order to move forward in a decisive manner. Many Afghan people have braved threats of brutal violence to vote. Our troops are courageously fulfilling their duty, and there is a concern that their resources are stretched to the limit. None of us wants our soldiers at risk, nor the opportunity for stability in Afghanistan to slip away. The administration's top field general and the National Security Advisor are reflecting differently on the security situation in Afghanistan. General Jones stated on October 4 that, quote, "I don't foresee the return of the Taliban, and I want to be very clear that Afghanistan is not in danger, imminent danger of falling." Yet our senior military commander, General Stanley McChrystal, assessed the situation that, quote, that the situation in Afghanistan is serious. Neither success nor failure can be taken for granted. Although considerable effort and sacrifice have resulted in some progress, many indicators suggest the overall situation is deteriorating. We in Congress need to know, which is it? While we are responsible for funding and equipping the troops, the administration needs to define the next way forward. And this House needs to challenge the decision paralysis that threatens our mission in Afghanistan with each passing day. Until recently, the war in Afghanistan was the other war, the forgotten war, and said by some to be the right war. Mr. Speaker, as much as anyone, I would like to wait and to make sure that all is in order, but Afghanistan is slipping. According to General McChrystal, quote, "Failure to gain the initiative and reverse insurgent momentum in the near term, the next 12 months, while Afghan security capacity matures, risk an outcome where defeating the insurgency is no longer possible." In his initial assessment of the security situation, General McChrystal requested up to 40,000 additional combat troops. This is going to be a very tough call for all of us. Clearly, General McChrystal's judgment is based on keen insight about what it will take to prevail. The American people deserve to know the unvarnished truth about the situation in Afghanistan and the fundamental purpose for our being there. Military families deserve to know the truth about the challenges facing their loved ones. Americans need to know that the administration is committed to a plan for success that minimizes our casualties, stabilizes the country, and brings the main contingent of our troops home quickly. Let me venture to say that this is not just an American problem. The situation in Afghanistan, for that matter, and for that matter in Pakistan as well, poses an international security threat, one that demands a shared response from the members of the international community. Pakistan has exhibited a stronger will of late to engage in the ungoverned tribal regions bordering Afghanistan. Yet we have witnessed a curious range of responses by other governments. Some who see the urgency join us, others sit back hoping that we will save the day, and yet others exploit international tensions for economic and geopolitical gains. While it may be difficult to engender the will to send combat troops, our partner nations must help provide resources to stabilize Afghanistan. Just as General Petraeus returned from Iraq to testify about the impact of the surge, I believe it would be helpful for President Obama to instruct General McChrystal to forthrightly articulate before this House his views, concerns, and professional judgment. 8 soldiers, Mr. Speaker, were killed yesterday. We need to develop adequately informed conclusions about the resources needed, Afghan capabilities, and international will.
Captain of Ohio, Mr. McHenry of North Carolina.